Okay, we're continuing the Hachaim's explanation of the first pasuk in Parshat Bechukotai, in Bechukotai-The ves mitzvot tishmarim. The Hachaim brings down 42 different pshatim how to understand the pasuk. Ruba de ruba of the pshatim, of the explanations, are the great benefit that one who has learning Torah. In addition, he teaches us what is the proper way to learn Torah, how you should learn Torah. We learn, for example, when a person learns Torah, he should go to the place that he will be the most conducive for his learning. Now in Yud, in the 10th pshat, we're going to learn a great benefit that Torah has that is not found by any other mitzvah. Another thing that the pasuk wants to inform us is the great benefit of Torah, which is something that learning Torah has that other mitzvahs do not have. That by a mitzvah, it could be that a person does a mitzvah and he does it in the most optimal way. However, he will do an avera and he will now lose that mitzvah. As it says in Yirmiyah, that they will not remember his tzidkas, they will not remember the mitzvah that he did in the day of his pishay, in the day that he did avera. A person could do a mitzvah, and he could do a great mitzvah, but then later on in life, a person could do an avera. That avera, as we'll see, has the ability to extinguish the mitzvah. However, our mitzvahs esek ha-Torah mafticha, but the mitzvah of being busy in Torah comes with a promise. That a person that learns his tzedek will last forever. And his tzedek will go forever. As it says in the Gemara in Saita, Ki averu mechaba mitzvah ve'ein averu mechaba Torah. That an avera can extinguish a mitzvah, but an avera cannot extinguish the Torah to be mevatel the schusay. And that's what the pasuk it teaches us. If you go with my Torah, as mitzvot tishmaru, your mitzvahs will be kept. The mitzvah of learning Torah will stay with you forever, even in the next world. In the next pshat in Yud Aleph, we're going to say it outside. The Hachaim teaches us a beautiful thing. We know that it says in the Gemara in Shabbos that in Mishlei it teaches us Orich Yom B'Mina. You want to have long days, which is a reference to the next world, because those are the days that are long, because they are forever. Then you have to go to the right. What does that mean? That means just like when a person wants to do an avodah, he wants to do work, he uses his right hand, which is the strong hand, in order to have the full power. So too, when a person learns Torah, it has to be with his right hand, which means it's an illusion that has to be with all of his koiches. When you do that, then the reward will go with you to the next world. But if you learn Torah, but not with your full koyach, you're going to get reward, but it's going to be reward in this world. Now, that's very nice. It's very good to get reward in this world, but the reward in this world is finite. It's limited by the length of his life. Once a person dies, no matter how much reward he got, it's over. It's finished. However, when he takes the reward with him to the next world, it's unlimited. And that's what the Torah teaches us. If you want to have Torah, you want to have reward, then it should be a learning of Telechu that you can take with you to the next world. We're now going to skip to Yud Gimel. Now, there's another way to understand. As the famous Mishnah Masechtas Peah, Parak Aleph, Pasuk Aleph, Eilu Dvarim, v'Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. We know that the Mishnah there lists a bunch of different mitzvahs, and the most important mitzvah is Talmud Torah. The mitzvah of Talmud Torah is Keneged all the other mitzvahs, for a few reasons. Number one, every word that a person learns, according to some people, every letter that a person learns, is 613 mitzvahs. So how many mitzvahs you can do in an hour by holding a lulav? One mitzvah, two mitzvahs, three mitzvahs. Even if you want to say every second you're putting on tefillin is another mitzvah, every second that you're holding lulav is another mitzvah, it still doesn't come to the mitzvah of limud Torah. 1 minute of limud Torah, the Chofetz Chaim says, a person can say about 200 words. So it's 200 mitzvahs in that minute. And in addition, it's not just 200 mitzvahs, it's 200 times 613. It is uncomparable that a person can reach that mitzvah. And therefore, that is what the great reward of the mitzvah is, because it's keneged kulam. And Kadosh Baruch Hu teaches us that Mala ani aleichem ki gam shematem mitzvoseh v'asisim asam. When you learn the Torah, if you're going and coming is learning Torah, it's as is ves mitzvoseh tishmoru, that you kept all the other mitzvahs. Why? Because the limud Torah is connected kol mitzvahs Torah. Now, we're going to see later on, hopefully, we're not talking about a case where there's a certain mitzvah that only you could do at that time. Then you have to close the Gemara, you have to close what you're learning and do it. But a person should really understand that the most optimal mitzvah that a person can do is Talmud Torah, because there's no other mitzvah that's comparable to it, because every word that you learn is as if you kept the whole Torah. So it makes much more sense just on mathematical cheshbonos, even though we learned it. You're not supposed to learn in order to get reward, but you should understand what the reward is in order for you to understand how great Torah is. Sometimes a person cannot really fathom what he's doing has an important benefit unless he understands that when I do this job, you're going to get paid $1 million. So you understand why you're getting paid $1 million, because the work that you're doing is unbelievable. You have a person who cuts diamonds, his reward, his payment is a lot of money as opposed to someone who's moving boxes, because cutting diamonds is much more important work and it takes much more skill than moving boxes. So too Kaviyachol. The reason why we're being told what the reward of a mitzvah is not that we should do the mitzvah for the reward, but really a person should sit and understand, if I do this mitzvah, why is the reward so great? It must be that because it takes great skill, and what this mitzvah accomplishes is unbelievable, that it causes the payment to be great. A doctor who's a neurosurgeon gets paid a lot of money because the thing that he's doing is an unbelievable thing. He's working on the brains, he's working on something that's extremely important, so he's getting paid more. The nurse that's helping him out is not as important, so therefore the salary is less. The janitor who sweeps the floor also gets paid, but doesn't get paid the same amount. Why? Because the output of what each one's doing is much different. So too, lahavdil, the Torah's output, how it affects the world. As we know that if there was 1 second that there would be no Torah, the whole world would be destroyed. So which means that the Torah is the fuel of the world. If there's no fuel, there's no world. Memela, that's why the reward is so great. Now we go to number 14. Another thing that the Torah is teaching us. Today, let's take a step back actually. Hakadosh Baruch Hu told Avram Avinu that when Klal Yisrael does an Avera, they should bring a carbon and I'll erase the Avera. So Avram Avinu said, very good when you have a Beis HaMikdash. But what do we do when you don't have a Beis HaMikdash? What do we do when we can't do that mitzvah? In addition, what do we do when certain mitzvahs are not in effect? For example, in America, in Chutz La'aretz, there's no mitzvahs of Shemitah. There's no mitzvahs Trumas Meiser. So how do I, who live in Chutz La'aretz, are able to be kind this mitzvah? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Avram Avinu, Zois Torah, Zois HaTorah la'oila u'lemincha. This is the Torah for la'oila and mincha. When you learn about carbon oila, when you learn about carbon mincha, it is as you brought me the carbon oila. So a person who does an Avera and learns about carbon chatas, goes to the sugi of carbon chatas, HaKadosh Baruch Hu equates it as you brought a chatas, and it's like the Avera goes away. As it says in Hosea, Unishalma Parmsis Saseinu. We will bring a carbon with our lips. And therefore, today, when we can't bring a carbon, but when we learn about different carbonates, when we learn about different mitzvahs, it is as if you brought that carbon. In addition, let's take this a step further. Now, let's talk about Shemitah. We're not in the Shemitah year, but a person now who's learning about Shemitah is as if he was Mekayim the mitzvah Shemitah. So you could have a mitzvah that is coming. Well, let's make it a little simpler. Let's take the mitzvah of Sukkah. Right now, there's no mitzvah of Sukkah because we're in the middle of the summer. But if a person learns Masechta Sukkah, it's as if he was Mekayim the mitzvah of Sukkah in the summer. That's an unbelievable thing. And that's what the Pasuk is teaching us. Bechukotai-The, if you go in my ways, those mitzvahs, says the Hachaim, that you can't keep it, tishmoru, it's like you are keeping it. There's one sort of condition. The condition is that you really would love to do it, but you can't do it. We really want to bring karbanos in the Beis HaMikdash. And we daven all the time that Hakadosh Baruch Hu should rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. We can't bring it now because we don't have one. So therefore, in place, we're learning about it. That's one of the reasons that today we learn about it. We don't want to serve Avodah Zarah, right? Today there's kemat no taiva for Avodah Zarah, but we want to get the mitzvah of not serving Avodah Zarah, so we learn Masechtas Avodah Zarah. And that is what this pasuk is teaching us, that in Bechukotai-The if you go in my ways, and there are mitzvahs that you can't do it, but you want to do it, this mitzvah said tishmoiru, you really want to keep it, v'asisim oisam, it's like you did it. So we see the gevalda, the great benefit that Torah has, that a person could be mekayim a mitzvah, even though it's literally not possible, or it's not in the right time, and we see that from this pasuk. We're now going to move to the 16th pshat, Tez Zayin, in the Hachaim. Od yitzer al derech oimram. She'asur la'adam lasrim l'derech pa'amav. A person should not go on his journey at sheyakdim divrei Torah, before he speaks Torah. The ksiv tzedek lefanav yalech. Tzedek, which is a lashon of learning, he should walk in front of him, v'yasim l'derech, and then he should walk with him. Now, interestingly, in pshat number 10, we learned that the word tzedek refers to a mitzvah. Here the word tzedek refers to learning Torah. What it says in the Heilige Zohar. And I heard a beautiful pshat that here the Hachaim is commanding us to go learn the Zohar, because it says, V'tzei lamad, you should go and learn. What it says in the Zohar. Somebody that goes on a way, he's traveling, especially if he's traveling with somebody, and they're not discussing Torah, they're putting themselves in a terrible situation. V'hu maimar Hashem. And this is what the pasuk is telling us. If in your travels there will be Torah, then teilechu, you could go. But if not, you're going to have a problem, and you're going to get yourself into trouble by putting yourself into mokaim sakana. And we're going to end off with another piece of Hachaim in Chav Gimel 23. Here the Hachaim teaches us what powerful properties learning Torah has. And he explains on the following. Al derech oimra b'sefer Zohar. We're up to the 23rd Pshat Chav Gimel. B'perish b'pasuk shor kesef. It says in the Torah, shor kesef. The Zohar explains that Kimin ha-behemi eino mishtana megada shebanolet. Everybody understands that when a goat is born, it grows up a goat, it lives like a goat, and it dies like a goat. There's nothing that it can change. A person, however, has the ability to change. What does that mean he has the ability to change? He still looks like a person, but he has the ability to change his attitude, his midos. He has the ability to change who he is. A person could have grown up to be a balgaiva, and he worked on himself not to be a balgaiva. A person could have been born with the midah of being a kas, someone who's very angry, but he worked on himself not to be angry. How does he do that? That's only by learning Torah. In Bechukotai-The, the Torah tells us, Be'anzus esek ha-Torah, through the learning of Torah, kama teilechu, you will advance, teilechu, you will grow. You will grow from one level to another level to the ultimate perfection, which is Adam HaShalom. And that, the Hachaim teaches us, is one of the great benefits of learning Torah. That by learning Torah, if you learn Torah the proper way, teilechu, you continue to go. You're a person that's always going, always improving, always advancing. That's the best word. You're always advancing higher and higher, not only in avodah, but in Adam HaShalom.